You're sitting in your kitchen, right? And you're talking about buying a new espresso machine. You haven't searched for it. You haven't typed it anywhere. Beat. And then 10 minutes later, there's an ad for it on your phone. It's the ultimate modern paranoia. Are our phones actually listening to us? Or is something else happening beneath the surface?
It really is, yeah. It's the defining mystery of our digital age.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody has a story exactly like that kitchen scenario. So we actually used Google's most powerful AI tools to investigate that specific paranoia. And the reality of how those ads target you is, well, it's so much stranger than your phone simply recording your voice. But uncovering that truth, it required a totally different approach to research.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really glad you're here. Our mission today is straightforward but vital. We want to dismantle a very specific illusion. We're breaking the illusion that all AI answers are created equal because we tend to think AI just gives us, well, the truth.
Right, but that simply isn't how it works. Not at all. So we're mapping out a completely new journey today. We're going to break down Google's 5 distinct research tools. We'll reveal a bulletproof 5-step workflow for high-stakes research. And finally, we'll crack open that listening phone experiment you mentioned. It perfectly demonstrates how humans and AI absolutely must collaborate.
So let's start by looking at the information landscape. Choosing the right route is essential here. Beat. It seems like knowing which tool to pull from the toolbox is basically half the battle, right? Like if I grab the wrong tool, I'm going to get the wrong kind of answer.
That is entirely true, yeah. Right now, Google gives you 5 distinct options for research. First, you have standard Google search. You use this when you need to see the raw, unfiltered landscape. Like you want to look around before any AI summarizes things for you.
Right, because sometimes that raw data is the point. You want to find original pages. You need to see recent breaking news. Or maybe you just want to see exactly who is talking about a specific topic so you can evaluate their credibility yourself.
Exactly. Standard search lets you see the original context. Second, you have Gemini. And this is for when you just want the explanation first. It's perfect for understanding a complex topic quickly. You want a digestible summary or maybe a fast conversation to just get your bearings.
But with Gemini, the AI has already chosen what to surface. It curates the information for you so you see significantly less of the surrounding evidence and
Right, and that is the fundamental trade-off, speed versus transparency. So third is AI mode. This sits nicely in the middle. It lets you explore broad questions, but crucially, the open web is still visible. It provides a web-grounded synthesis.
web-grounded synthesis.
Yeah, it gives you clickable links right there in the text, so you can follow up on claims easily.
Okay, so it's like selecting a vehicle for a road trip. Standard search is a dirt bike for navigating raw terrain. Gemini is a guided tour bus for quick sightseeing. And AI mode is a comfortable hybrid car.
I love that analogy. It's perfect. If you take the tour bus off-roading, you're going to get stuck. Then we get to the heavy hitters. Number 4 is Gemini Deep Research. You use this when you need to hand off a massive investigation. It just goes out, digs for hours, and gives you structured reports with citations.
Let's define deep research clearly for a second. It's essentially AI autonomously finding, reading, and summarizing multiple web pages for you.
That hits the nail on the head. Yep. And finally, number 5 is Notebook LM, or Gemini Notebook. This is entirely different. It's for keeping your evidence in a closed, reusable workspace. You bring in your own files or specific websites. It relies entirely on a concept called grounding.
And grounding, just to clarify, that means restricting the AI to only use the exact documents you upload.
Yes. Notebook LM keeps you intimately close to the specific sources you hand-selected. It won't pull random facts from the broader internet.
So extending the vehicle metaphor, Deep Research is an autonomous all-terrain rover doing the exploring for you. And Notebook LM is a high-tech laboratory where you control all the variables.
Right, a closed system.
But that raises a big question. If Deep Research is so incredibly powerful, why not just use it for absolutely everything?
Well, because handing off the entire investigation means you lose intimate contact with the evidence. You get a beautifully finished, comprehensive report, sure, but you completely miss the messy nuance of those raw sources. You don't see the contradicting studies that might have just skimmed past.
So speed trades off with deep, hands-on control of the facts.
Precisely. If you're deciding where to eat, use the fast tool. If you're building a legal case, you need the control. And if you want to maintain that deep control, you need a system.
Which brings us to the golden rule of modern research.
The golden rule, that sets a high bar. What is it?
It's a simple, reliable shortcut, really. The more important the final output is, the stronger your evidence standard absolutely must become. That rule matters significantly more than which specific software tool happens to be open on your screen. 2 sec silence. I have to admit, I still wrestle with treating every AI citation as equally reliable. Just because a paragraph has a little blue link next to it doesn't mean it's gospel.
Oh, it's a remarkably common trap. AI systems are incredibly fast, and they sound incredibly confident. But a 40-page report does not guarantee the underlying sources are actually strong. An AI will confidently cite a random blog post from 10 years ago just to fulfill its programming.
Wow.
That's exactly why we need a rigorous 5-step workflow for the bigger jobs.
So let's unpack that workflow. I'm assuming we can't just type, "tell me everything about X," and hit enter. So the first step has to be framing the problem correctly.
You're spot on. Step 1 is ask. You must explicitly define the research job. You state exactly what you want to understand, you define what the final output should look like, and you clarify who the intended audience is.
And I imagine you must keep the question strictly neutral. You don't want to assume the answer in advance, or the AI will just find evidence to confirm your bias.
Right. If you ask, why is coffee bad for you? Hey, the AI will find you 100 reasons why it's toxic. If you ask, what are the health impacts of coffee? You get a balanced view. So step 2 is research. This is where you actually build the evidence pool. You might use deep research here to cast a massive net and gather 50 potential sources.
But gathering sources isn't the same as trusting them. We just established that a lot of those sources might be garbage. So the next logical hurdle is figuring out how to stop the AI from using the bad ones.
Which leads us perfectly to step 3, which is filter. You aggressively clean that initial pool. You only keep the sources that actually fit your criteria. You force the AI to separate direct, measurable evidence from mere inference or opinion.
Okay, so we've gathered the pool and we've filtered out the junk. But I know AI has a habit of hallucinating or connecting dots that shouldn't be connected. We need a way to verify its logic.
That is step 4. Check. It's arguably the most crucial phase. You interrogate what the filtered evidence actually supports. You actively look for limitations, biases, or uncertainty in the data. And if you spot a glaring gap in the evidence, you pause. You go back and search specifically to fill that one gap.
And finally, once the logic is solid, we can actually build the thing. Step 5 has to be create.
Yes, you turn that verified research into your final output. You use only the established fact-checked findings. You stay strictly and stubbornly within what the evidence actually supports.
Let's loop back to the research stage for a second. Why do we ask the AI to establish an approval standard before we even start reviewing the links?
Because if you don't lock in what approve or reject actually means beforehand, the AI will get sloppy. It might let weak, unverified forum posts slip into a high-stakes client briefing just because the keywords match. You have to define the strict threshold of quality first.
So set the strict rules first so the AI doesn't lower the bar later.
That is the perfect way to look at it. So if we are setting these strict, non-negotiable rules, we need to know exactly which tool is handling the heavy lifting for us.
Right, which brings us to a major comparison. Deep Research versus Gemini Notebook. The autonomous rover versus the controlled laboratory.
These are undeniably the two heavy hitters right now.
Yeah.
But they serve very different strategic purposes. Deep research is for starting completely from scratch. You don't have any documents yet. You just want a fast, remarkably comprehensive report on a brand new topic.
So you want to investigate broadly and quickly. You're casting the widest possible net into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Gemini Notebook, or Notebook LM, is totally fundamentally different. It's for when you demand absolute control over your sources. You've already caught the fish, so to speak. You want to do ongoing complex work with the exact same trusted evidence base over an extended period.
Like you can inspect individual specific claims. You can compare two distinct documents side by side.
You can say, show me where document A disagrees with document B. But here is the crucial limitation. Notebook LM cannot miraculously make a weak source set strong. It only works with the exact data you feed it. So if you feed it biased, incomplete data, you will get biased, incomplete analysis.
Neat beat. Whoa. I mean, imagine scaling to 1 billion queries, keeping the exact same pristine evidence base, and just spinning out audio overviews, complex mind maps, and data tables endlessly without ever having to start over.
It's wild. It's an incredibly powerful paradigm shift. The final written article is just one possible output. Once the laboratory is stocked with good data, you can reuse that exact same vetted evidence over and over for different formats.
But if I accidentally upload a deeply flawed white paper into that workspace, can Notebook LM recognize it and fix a fundamentally flawed piece of evidence?
No, unfortunately not. It relies entirely on the quality of the sources you selected and imported. It will analyze that flawed white paper brilliantly, but the underlying flaw remains.
It organizes your evidence beautifully, but it cannot cure bad data. We're going to take a quick pause right here, but when we come back, we're actually going to apply this exact framework to the listening phone mystery.
Yeah, you won't want to miss how this plays out.
We'll be right back.
And we're back.
So let's put this entire theoretical framework into practice. Let's settle the massive debate about our phones secretly recording our conversations.
This is the experiment everyone wants to understand. We are testing the mechanism behind why highly specific ads appear right after we talk about something out loud.
Right. We decided to write a comprehensive tech article explaining this phenomenon for non-technical readers, and we chose Notebook LM as our primary workspace for this project.
We used Notebook because we wanted more than just a one-time summary. We wanted to continually question the evidence from different angles. So walk us through how you applied the workflow here.
Well, step 1 and 2 were ask and research. We designed strictly neutral prompts. We didn't ask, how do phones listen to us? We asked the AI to gather comprehensive app security audits, recent regulatory court cases, and raw tech data regarding predictive advertising. We explicitly commanded it not to assume secret recording was actually happening.
Then we had to clean the pool. We had to filter the junk out.
Right, so before reading anything, we asked Gemini to define a strict approval standard. We only wanted peer-reviewed security audits or verified technical documentation. We filtered the links in small, manageable batches, and we brought only the strongest, most verifiable sources back into our closed Notebook LM workspace.
So step 3 was understand. We now had dozens of highly technical sources sitting in the laboratory. How did the AI handle that dense information?
Notebook LM was incredible here. It organized all those dense documents into plain language findings. It pulled out some truly fascinating, slightly terrifying concepts. Like, for instance, it highlighted the use of ultrasonic signals.
Okay, wait, stop right there. We need to unpack that. How do ultrasonic signals actually work in this context?
It's brilliant and creepy. Let's say a television commercial for that espresso machine plays in your living room. Embedded in the audio of that commercial is a high-frequency tone. Human ears cannot physically hear it. It's completely silent to you.
But my smartphone microphone can hear it.
Yes, your phone's microphone is passively picking up ambient noise. It registers that specific high-frequency tone. It instantly recognizes the audio watermark of that specific commercial. It then logs that your phone, meaning you, was in the room when the espresso machine ad played.
So it's not recording my voice saying I want an espresso machine. It's just matching my physical location to the television broadcast.
Exactly. It links your profile to the product without ever understanding a single word you spoke. Notebook LM also detailed cross-device tracking, which is another massive piece of the puzzle.
How does that mechanism work?
So say you're talking about the toffee maker with your spouse. You don't search for it on your phone. But later that night, your spouse opens their laptop and Googles best espresso machines.
And because we share a Wi-Fi router, the ad networks know our devices are connected.
Precisely. The ad network pools your IP addresses. It assumes that people living in the same house share purchasing interests, so it starts pushing espresso machine ads to your Instagram feed, even though your spouse was the one who actually typed the search.
Wow. It turns out these predictive advertising systems are just terrifyingly good at correlation. They don't actually need the microphone to be recording our conversations.
They really don't. Gathering audio files is incredibly expensive and legally dangerous. Gathering location and search data is cheap and highly effective. Notebook LM even brought up cognitive biases, specifically the frequency illusion.
Right, that's when you buy a red car.
Yeah.
And suddenly you see red cars everywhere.
Exactly. You scroll past 10,000 ads a day. You ignore almost all of them. But because you just talked about the coffee maker, your brain selectively notices the coffee maker ad. You assume it's a new ad, but it might have been in your feed all week. So the evidence overwhelmingly pointed away from secret listening. It pointed toward massive data correlation. But step 4 was check. We had to actively look for flaws in the AI's logic.
This is where we inevitably catch the AI making mistakes. What did it get wrong here?
Well, we found that the AI sometimes phrases its final conclusions much more strongly than the underlying evidence actually supports. It will take a very specific, limited finding and artificially inflate it into a broad, universal fact.
Give me an example of that inflation.
Based on the documents, the AI initially wrote a draft saying ad networks constantly use ultrasonic signals to track your location. But when we clicked the citation and read the original security audit, the researchers actually said ad networks have the capability to use ultrasonic signals, though the practice is heavily restricted.
That's a massive difference. Constantly use implies it's happening every second. Have a capability implies it's technically possible, but maybe rare.
Exactly. So we forced the AI to state the strongest neutral conclusion. We separated the direct evidence from its speculative inferences. We made it dial back its confidence. And finally, we hit step 5, create.
And because the evidence was now rock solid, the final output was easy to generate.
It was. It outputted a fantastic, readable article. It used direct, clickable hyperlinks within the text instead of clunky academic citation numbers. It was incredibly clean and well-sourced.
Wait, I need to push back on this. Even with this rigorous, heavily controlled notebook setup, you're saying the AI can still overstate a finding or connect two dots too aggressively? Like, we can't fully trust the final synthesis, even in the closed lab.
You absolutely cannot just trust it blindly. Even with perfectly curated, high-quality sources, the AI might misread a complex passage. It might completely ignore a crucial contextual limitation. It's essentially a very eager intern. It wants to give you a definitive answer, even when the data is ambiguous.
So what is the most vital, non-negotiable action we must take during the check stage?
You have to manually verify that the AI's sweeping conclusions haven't stretched beyond what the original public evidence actually proves. You must read the connected claims yourself.
You must rein in the AI when it gets overly confident about weak facts.
Exactly. And that tendency for the AI to get overconfident and stretch the truth, that brings us to the ultimate, unavoidable limitation of these tools.
We've talked about how powerful they are, but where do they completely fall flat?
AI can handle a truly surprising amount of tedious research, but there are 3 core things AI simply cannot do for you.
What's the first major limitation?
First, AI fundamentally doesn't know the good enough standard for your specific real-world job. It has no concept of stakes.
Right. If I'm writing a casual explainer for a blog, I need a very different standard of proof than if I'm making a multi-million-dollar business decision.
Exactly. A Wikipedia citation might be perfectly fine for a casual Friday newsletter. That exact same citation would be terribly irresponsible for a medical recommendation. The AI cannot weigh those stakes. You have to define that threshold manually.
What is the second limitation?
Second, AI constantly overstates proof. Citations strictly trace evidence back to a source, but they don't guarantee the accuracy of that source. Just because a beautifully written sentence has a tiny little number next to it does not magically make it true.
It just tells you where the AI got the idea.
Yeah.
It might have misunderstood the idea completely, or the original idea might have been flawed from the start.
The citation is a breadcrumb trail, not a seal of approval. And third, AI genuinely doesn't know what matters or when to stop researching. It will happily surface 10 fascinating, deeply researched findings, but only you, with your human context, know which of those 10 findings actually matter to your audience.
It sounds like the AI is an incredibly eager, tireless research assistant. It can dig up an absolute mountain of dirt in seconds, but you are the master gold appraiser who actually determines what shines. You have to sift the gold from the mud.
That is beautifully stated. The AI will dig forever if you let it. I usually tell it to stop when the most important structural questions are answered. I stop when any new research just endlessly repeats what I already securely know.
If AI is doing all the heavy digging and summarizing, what is our fundamental, irreplaceable job at the end of the day?
You own the standard of quality. You choose the relevant claims that matter. And you make the absolute final judgment. The AI is just the powerful engine. You are still steering the car.
AI does the heavy lifting, but human judgment remains the absolute final word.
It has to be. Let's recap the big idea we've covered today.
Yeah, so the core philosophy of this deep dive is surprisingly simple. The goal of using these tools isn't to achieve perfect, flawless research. The goal is to achieve research that is undeniably strong enough for the specific job you need to do right now.
You have to deliberately match the tool to the task.
Exactly. Let's run through them one last time. Use standard search for viewing the raw, unfiltered landscape. Use Gemini for quick conversational explanations. Use AI mode for broad web exploration where you still need to see the links. Use Deep Research for handing off massive, complex investigations from scratch. And use Notebook LM for ongoing, rigorous control over your specific sources.
And you must always apply the 5-step workflow when the real-world stakes are high.
Ask, research, filter, check, create. That systematic approach is exactly how you turn a vague, paranoid question about listening phones into a highly reliable, heavily vetted technical briefing.
Beat. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to chew on. If AI is eventually doing 99% of the gathering, the reading, and the synthesizing, does our human ability to establish a strict approval standard become our only remaining intellectual currency? Beat. The next time you ask an AI a question, pause and ask yourself, who is actually deciding what is true?
2-sec silence. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See